week 2 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I look to sell and trade away this week. The first guy, Clayton Kershaw of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Kershaw so far, pretty solid, I think, in his first 2 starts on the season. On the season here for Kershaw, 12 innings, 2-0 record, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 20 strikeouts, and a quality start. So we know he had that perfect game going April 13th at Minnesota before they pulled him in the 7th inning in that one. He went 7 innings, got the win in that one, 13 strikeouts in that ball game, and obviously the quality start and nothing given up. And then April 18th versus the Braves, 5 innings, got the win, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 7 strikeouts in that ball game. So Kershaw, we know he's a great pitcher throughout his career. We know he's had a Hall of Fame career, but the last few seasons, Kershaw, he's been an IL candidate, and a guy who, once he goes on the IL, he goes on there for a couple stints or a long period of time. So it wouldn't surprise me once again to see that happen for him this season. So now with the 2 pretty solid games under his belt, and him obviously on the best team most likely in baseball this season, he's a pitcher I easily could get away from and get something good for, because I don't think he'll last the whole season and make 33, 35 starts. He'll probably make anywhere from 18 to 20 starts in my opinion. And this Dodger team here, they got so many options, and they got the best offense in baseball, like I mentioned. They could even rest some of these guys towards the end of the season as well. So right now, since he's off to a good start and looking healthy as Kershaw, he's a guy I definitely would sell off my roster, and I think I definitely could get decency with his name value and the team he plays on. The next pitcher I look to sell high this week's Kyle Wright of the Atlanta Braves. So Kyle Wright, he's off to a good start so far this season here, and he's coming out of nowhere for this Brave team. 11 innings pitched, 1-0 record, 7 hits, 2 runs, 15 strikeouts, and a quality start. So this Brave team, defending champions, and once again, I think when it's all said and done, they'll be there at the end with them and the Dodgers in the National League Championship game. So right here, the first 2 outings for Kyle Wright, April 9th versus Cincinnati. 6 innings, got the win, 2 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, quality start. And April 15th at San Diego, not a great start, but still decent. 5 innings, no decision in that one. 5 hits, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts. So Wright, he's got the strikeout ball going so far with the 15 Ks in the first 2 outings. And he's got a pretty decent matchup coming up on Friday versus the Miami Marlins. So right now, with these 2 good outings under his belt, I definitely would trade him off. And like I mentioned with Kershaw, I'm going to mention with him, he's on a Brave team that's going to win a lot of games this season. But I don't know if he's going to be consistent, where he's going to go 5 or 6 innings with quality starts every outing here, as Kyle Wright. So if you could get something of decency, either a good bat for him or another starting pitcher are pretty much on the same level with more upside, this would be the time to do it this week here. The next pitcher I look to trade this week here, Angeles Dodger, Andrew Heaney. So Heaney, I mentioned him as a hot pickup this week on the waiver wire. And right here, he's been pitching great baseball the first 2 outings for this Dodger team. On the season, 10 in the third, 4 hits, 3 walks, no runs, 16 strikeouts, and a quality start. So like I mentioned, these guys on the Dodgers, they could go 5, 6 innings, and most of the time that's going to be enough to get victories for them. And Heaney, though, over the last few seasons, he hasn't really been that good with the Angels and the New York Yankees with a cup of coffee in the second half last year. So the first 2 outings for him, April 12th in Minnesota, 4 1/3, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, no runs, no decision. April 17th versus Cincinnati, 6 innings, got the win, 1 hit, 3 walks, 11 Ks, and the quality start. So right now, his next outing is April 23rd on Saturday at the San Diego Padres. And Heaney, I mentioned him as a hot pickup, but if you could pick up a guy like Heaney and then flip him in a trade for a more consistent player, this is definitely a great time to do it, because he's going to get wins, no doubt about it, with this Dodger team. But he's also a guy that's been inconsistent with an ERA in the mid-4s to 5s over the last few seasons. So right here, go out there and trade Heaney, because a pickup and flip is definitely a good strategy for fantasy baseball owners. The next pitcher is Tyler Mcgill of the New York Mets. So Mcgill, he's got off to a great start the first 3 starts of the season here. But he's another guy that we saw last season. As the games went on, teams were catching up to him, and he got lit up with a 7 ERA in the second half of his season with the starts. On the season here for Mcgill, 16 1/3, 2-0 record, 13 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 15 strikeouts. So he gave up his 4 earned runs in his 3rd start in yesterday's ball game. And that's what I mean. The league's going to catch up to Mcgill. Even though his mile per hour has gone up and he's overpowered hitters at times, The San Francisco Giants had a good strategy yesterday. They knew Mcgill is going to throw a lot of strikes, so they attacked him early in the pitch count, and they got a lot of hits off of him. So the first 3 outings here for Mcgill: April 7th at Washington, 5 innings, got the win, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts. April 12th at Philly, 5 1/3, got the win, 3 hits, 5 Ks, no in that one. And then yesterday versus San Francisco, 6 innings, no decision, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. So right here, Mcgill had some pretty decent matchups, but now it's going to get tougher for the New York Mets coming up. Well, matchups with the Cardinals. Philly, that offense, it's been bottled up, but I think it's going to break out soon. And the Atlanta Braves as well, so it's going to be tough matchups coming up for this Met team. And right here, Tyler Mcgill, he's a good story, but we saw this last year with him. Get off to a hot start, and then the second half, he was batting practice for most teams. So after this, a little bit of a concerning start versus the Giants, he's definitely a guy we'll put on my trade block and dangle this week and see what I could get. In the 5th and final pitcher I look to sell and trade this week is a former Met as well, Noah Syndergaard of the Los Angeles Angels. So Syndergaard, over the last 2 seasons, he hasn't been healthy, and he's still a starting pitcher I can't trust in this league, especially for fantasy baseball. We know the upside for the last 4 or 5 seasons has been great, and when he does pitch, he's been a pretty decent pitcher. People have overrated him for sure when he was on the Mets, when in my opinion he's a 500 pitcher at best. So right here on the season for Syndergaard, 11 1/3, 2-0 record, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and a quality start. So the surprising thing to me here in his first 2 starts so far this year, the strikeouts are down only with 5 in 11 1/3. So the first 2 outings for Syndergaard, April 9th versus Houston, 5 1/3, got the win, 2 hits, 2 walks, a K in that ball game. And then April 16th at Texas, 6 innings, got the win, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks, and a quality start. So his next outing will be Saturday versus the Baltimore Orioles, which is another good matchup on paper here for Syndergaard. But he's a guy I just can't trust. Like I mentioned, he's pretty much missed the last 2 seasons coming off of Tommy John surgery. And I know this season was a 1-year prove-it deal, even though he still got $21 million. But right here, I just can't trust him. And the Angels, they've had a bad track record with pitchers over the last 4 or 5 seasons. So now, with 2 good starts under his belt and him seeming healthy here, Syndergaard, it's a perfect time to sell him off this week. So that's a few pitchers I look to sell and trade here for week 2 of the fantasy baseball season.